How are you doing?
I'm I'm doing really well, and I'm nervous.
Mm-hmm.
Having just gone through the tech side of this, I can
Yes,
feel all of my body going like,
yes,
ah,
yes,
ah.
yes, yes. That welcome to my world. I feel that all the time. Every single time I go online, I'm like jittery inside.
Yeah.
Um, so thanks for being here. We're going to talk about you. And well, let's go to the beginning. When did you start acting?
Oh God. Since I was a kid,
Mm-hmm.
uh, I always like as a little kid, I always loved doing voices, and
Yeah.
I wanted to be an actor when I got
Mm-hmm.
older.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't know that that was a real thing that you could do.
Yeah, of course not. Of course.
Yeah.
And then did you study, and what kind of studies did you do as an actress?
I I did. I went to college for theater, but
Mm-hmm.
I went for tech theater. My parents were very practical people, and
Mm-hmm.
they showed their love by wanting me to have a easy life.
Mm-hmm.
And so, my dad's a stagehand,
Mm-hmm.
and I got a tech theater degree. So I learned costuming and lights and scene painting and
Great.
all of that stuff. And
Yeah.
then I would take acting as my electives. But my
Mm-hmm.
parents were just like, "You're not very good."
Mm.
So, um, do it as a hobby.
Focus on the B plan. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Okay. And so you still acted. What happened?
I went into tech, and I worked in Florida Grand Opera. I was a stagehand. I worked in the dark, and I got
Mm-hmm.
to watch people
Mm-hmm.
every day,
Mm-hmm.
all day,
Mm-hmm.
do the thing that they wanted to do.
Yeah.
And I could feel myself slowly dying. Like,
Mm. Wow.
so I decided, I was like, I just can't, like, I kept thinking, like, I wanted to believe in reincarnation. So that I
Mm.
was like, in my next life, I will live how I want to live.
That's
That will be the time.
yeah.
And it finally got to where I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I couldn't keep being like the people pleaser. And it was, I took, yeah, I was doing improv during my
Mm-hmm.
summers off, and I had an
Mm-hmm.
agent, but I couldn't do any auditions because I was in theater
Busy. Yeah.
backstage. And I finally just was like, and I had a terrible coworker who was
Mm.
misogynistic. And I finally was like, I can't keep doing
Mm-hmm.
this.
Mm-hmm.
And my husband, I've been with him since we're high school sweethearts. And he was so supportive of it. And I used him as an excuse. I was like, well, I can't do it because my husband,
Mm-hmm.
he never was,
Yeah. Yeah.
all the excuses.
Yeah.
And so I quit being a stagehand,
Well
and I
done.
decided to go back to college, and I was like, I'm going to go for occupational therapy. And I was like, I don't want to do this either.
Mm-hmm.
And so I just did it. Like, for a year, I live in a secondary market. I'm in South Florida.
Mm-hmm.
And my first year was, I booked a SAG National commercial. I booked a feature film with
Wow.
Tom Cruise. I booked
Wow.
3 TV shows.
Oh my God.
I was like, this is great. I am
Mm.
meant to do this. This is going to be forever. I made more as an
Wonderful.
actor that year than I did as a stagehand.
Yeah.
Um, and so I was like, I'm in. And then the next
Mm-hmm.
year I made like $8,000, and I was like, what have I done?
Yeah.
And that was 12 years ago.
Amazing. Amazing. And so, did you continue studying during these 12 years? Yeah. What
Yeah.
kind of approaches did you do?
Uh, well, that's the hard part, being like in a smaller market.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I found the classes that I could find locally,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and I just started working my way up. And I found great I found great teachers for the level that I was at, for
Yeah.
what I could do.
Yeah.
Uh, um, and I did improv,
Mm-hmm.
but there was a cap on it. And
Mm-hmm.
I went to Chicago. I studied at IO,
Mm-hmm.
but I lived all the excuses. I live here. I live in South
Mm-hmm.
Florida,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm married, and I have a
Mm-hmm.
house, and I can't
Mm-hmm.
go to New York, and I can't go to LA,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
and so I was capped.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
Mm-hmm. Okay. And so, um, after all of that, you decide to reset yourself. How does that happen? Well, why does that happen?
Um, I had I've been in therapy for years at this point, undoing a
Mhm.
lot of the
Conditioning.
all the
Mhm.
conditioning,
Yeah.
and you came across my path, and it aligned so. I just felt it. I was like, what is this? What is this
Mhm.
resetting?
Yeah.
Um, and it was one of those strange things. Like I didn't have a it was it was hard to put into words. It was just I felt that I was like, oh, this seems like a really interesting path.
Mhm. Mhm.
Because I kept looking for gurus or like
Mhm.
this teacher might fix this or
Mhm.
this like outside stuff. And
Mhm.
what you were talking about was inside of
Inside.
learning to trust
Mhm. Mhm.
ourselves.
And what was it that you were trying to fix still when you were looking for new teachers?
Oh, I was trying to fix the broken part of myself. This idea that
Mhm.
like that,
A belief. Yeah.
yeah. And I had thankfully at this point, I'm a two-time cancer survivor, and so through that process, um, when I started acting, I did it because I wanted the attention. Like
Mhm.
I wanted I wanted to be validated and I wanted to be
Mhm.
loved, and this was how I was going to get it.
Mhm.
And then um, a shift happened, like
Mhm.
getting sick, having to drop out of the business, going through
Mhm.
chemo, going through surgeries,
Mhm.
getting sick again.
Mhm.
Um, and I realized like I wanted to do the work because I wanted to. There was something deeper. It wasn't because of the
Yeah.
outside as much.
You weren't interested in the outside validation anymore. That's not what
Mm-mm.
you were looking for. You were looking for your own fuel.
But now I was at that point. But now what?
Yeah.
And then the reset was learning
Yeah.
that like to not look for it outside, but
Mhm.
helped give me tangible things that I could
Yeah. Yeah.
do from the inside.
Yeah. 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 Be your own fountain. So, how was it to reset yourself?
Joe. Oh my God, Joe.
I
uh,
know. I'm sorry.
oh, the reset.
Hmm.
It was, it was, it was burning down and like it was beautiful
Hmm.
and painful, and
Hmm.
I think it was helpful to have a therapist
Hmm.
in the
Yeah.
process of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
I think genuinely, like to go from
Hmm.
both sides.
Hmm.
Um, it was like it was glorious. It was
Oh,
like that.
glorious. I love that word. I love that
It's like
word.
delicious, and yeah, it was like a really delicious meal
Oof.
that
Hmm.
I cooked.
Mm. Oh, what a nice analogy. And yeah, and I heard you say, did you say excruciating also?
Probably.
Yeah, I can't remember which word you used, but in a way, the journey of resetting yourself is going to be excruciating and then beautiful and glorious because it's excruciating to realize how much shit has been poured down your throat and how much you're not yourself, you're not connected, you're not even knowing what you fucking feel. It's excruciating to realize how much of a fake you are. I mean, you or anyone.
Yeah.
It's excruciating to face that. And then it's glorious because you find yourself again, like your soul, your truth, your heart, what you're meant to be, what you're doing here, and it's glorious, but it has to go through moving the shit that's clogging your tubes, and that's excruciating, to realize how not you are, and then
Mm-hmm.
absolutely glorious to taste yourself like a delicious meal. Yeah. That you are making and remaking every day, that you're completely creating. And that's beautiful. I love your analogies. Yeah. Yeah. So how is acting now that you're reset?
Um, it's well, it was funny because I started my reset, and then I started my purpose. I, continued the process of working with
Mhm.
you um, through the exercise and the work. And I spent the first 8 months of this year. I probably did 90 auditions, and I was focused on like until August, and I booked nothing,
Wow.
which was super rare. And
Mhm.
I just kept focusing on going. I'm rebuilding. The way I
Mhm.
was doing it before wasn't working.
Mhm. Mhm.
And now the way I was going to, I could feel that it was brighter and more open and more
Mhm.
free.
Mhm.
But I wasn't there yet either.
Yeah.
And so that 8 month process of just doing the work, doing the
Mhm.
work, doing the
Mhm.
work.
Mhm.
And then I booked 5 things in a row.
Oh, there you go.
Um,
There you go.
and
There's a happy
yeah,
ending. Mhm.
so it was an interesting process of digging through and undoing
Mhm.
and knowing like what I was working towards, like to not backslide onto those old habits of like
Yeah.
putting on the smile and doing the
Yeah.
thing and being fake, but like
No.
acting.
Yeah.
To go, no, like don't do it, don't do it.
Mhm.
And now
How brave of you to actually have totally dismissed all the fake and to have allowed yourself to be in the middle of nowhere for a long time, for a scary period, I guess. If you've auditioned that much and hadn't booked, it must have been scary. Because some people will try to keep, and they ask me literally, they're like, oh, I totally reset. I totally get it. Okay, how do um, in the meantime, how do I keep doing what I'm doing and then go there? I'm like, you can't, you're not going to be able to be fake and truthful at the same time.
well
To be in
it's
control and free will not work. So you're going to have to let go of that. And it sounds like you went all in.
it's having one foot in one boat and one foot in the other boat. It's just dangerous. Like
Yeah.
you can't go anywhere.
No.
um i I find that I still have moments, like I'm not even still, like it's a constant
Mm-hmm.
process.
Yeah.
I had two callbacks yesterday and another
Mm-hmm.
audition. Yes,
Mm-hmm.
I four actually. I did four auditions yesterday, two callbacks and two
Wonderful.
regular auditions, and it's wonderful. And
Mm-hmm.
my intention going in, I was like, okay, I want to be authentic and truthful and not do what's right. And still, I will
Mm-hmm.
leave and go, okay, how
Mm-hmm.
much of myself did I
Mm-hmm.
fall into?
Mm-hmm.
And just like,
Mm-hmm.
well, it wasn't 80%. And so
Mm-hmm.
it's still that process,
In
especially with
process.
commercials.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um,
Oh, yeah, with commercials,
yeah,
definitely,
which is
definitely. But you
mostly what
have
I
the
auditioned for.
awareness of being able to actually look at yourself afterwards and gauge, okay, how present was I? How free was I? And you have the ability to look at that like a pro, like an athlete, and go, okay, so next time this is what I do. Yeah.
Mhm.
Rather than, oh, I hope I get it, or why didn't I get it? Like you're being responsible in putting the attention and the focus on you, on how you're showing up, and not just hoping and blaming, which is great. Which is great.
Yeah.
Sorry. Is there anything else that you would like to share about your resetting experience?
Oh gosh. It's honestly life changing. Like
Mm,
it's having I mean, having had cancer twice.
mm,
I find that this work is so helpful
mm,
to feel all of to like to I mean, I have used this work not just as an actor, but
in life.
in life, like having to
Mm,
get PET scans
yeah.
done, which I had 2 weeks ago. And I'll notice I'll shut down beforehand and all like, and
Mm-hmm.
it affects the acting, it affects everything. Like,
Yeah.
um, and understandably shutting down.
Mm-hmm.
like understandably wanting to put up
Mm-hmm.
that like
Mm-hmm.
and I know that I can go into the safe space of the
Mm-hmm.
acting work
Mm-hmm.
and um do my freedom work
Mm-hmm.
and and be brave enough to
Mm.
feel and that I'm not going to get lost in it. I'm not going to get
No,
lost in this fear
no.
and terror. Um, and it's so like, and I feeling the cracking open of like, oh, there it
Mm-hmm.
goes again.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's not just for the acting because like if I'm not free in life, I'm not free as an actor.
No,
But
definitely.
it honestly just it's this
Yeah,
lovely
it feeds
circle.
itself. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
nonstop.
It's
Yeah, yeah,
beautiful.
yeah, yeah.
I'm a
And you
better
can trust
human,
it. Yeah, definitely.
and I can trust myself.
Yeah.
Is the great like the trust that I can feel and that I'm brave enough to dive into that, and there's a peace. I have so much more of a peace than I ever had
Mm-hmm.
before. I'm not
Mm.
seeking it from outside, and it's like
Yeah.
okay, if I don't book it, I know I did a great job.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
At the end of my
Coming to
life, I'll
book
be
something
like,
else. Yeah.
I did it. It's
I've
fine.
been me. I've been me.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I lived my life. I experienced myself like I wanted to experience myself.
Mm.
That's wonderful. It's beautiful to see you and to witness that. You're definitely very, very present and very, very you. On both of my screens, I go here, you're present, and I go there, you're present too. So that's great. Yeah, thank you for sharing so vulnerably about your personal health journey too. Um, I was actually going to ask, are you seeing some things in this work that are helping you for that? Because of course, you're not the first in the reset. There's been so many people, and some people have gone through cancer during the work and have said, um, how much it's been actually helpful to be able to go through that with those tools and resources of freedom and authenticity, and that it would have been so much harder not to be able to feel. Yeah,
Yeah. And I think it
yeah,
also helps relationship wise. I mean, I've been with my
yeah,
husband since I was 15.
yeah,
Um, every
yeah.
aspect of life is benefited from learning to feel. Like
Well, yeah, because
what?
every aspect of life contains one ingredient. It's you. If that ingredient is wonky, every aspect of life is influenced by your wonkiness, right?
Mhm.
And if you show up fully, complete, whole, 100%, well, yes, every aspect of life is influenced by that
Mhm.
because you show up in a very different way. You manage a very different way. You call in a very different way. You react, you relate. Like everything you do is different. Yeah,
I think
definitely.
the biggest part is just knowing, like feeling what you're feeling when you're feeling it.
Mm-hmm.
That was probably
Mm-hmm.
my biggest challenge in life was
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't know how I felt until a year later I'd be like, oh, that thing that person said actually
Yeah.
really upset me.
Yeah.
Like it would take
Yeah.
me months. And
Yeah.
now I'm like, oh, I what do I feel right now?
Yeah.
And then not be scared of that,
Yeah.
and not have to fake it, and still be
Mm-hmm.
able to be kind and loving
Yeah.
and say it
Absolutely.
in a great way,
Yeah.
but be like, I don't like that
Yeah. Great.
now.
Now. Fantastic. Fantastic. And sad that we have to say that this is fantastic. You're alive, you're here, you're present. So, yeah, it's the minimum that you should be able to do as a human being is to feel what you're feeling. But conditioning, education, wiring, all of that prevents us from feeling what we're feeling. So what you do in the reset is to reset that. Yeah, reset
Mhm.
the what nature intended for you, which is to be you and feel you. That's great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you
I
so much for
appreciate it.
sharing yourself. Thank you guys. If this makes sense, if this resonates, if you can relate, will DM us in the comments and we'll get in touch, or you can sign up on our wait list, or in the link in the bio, you can download some free trainings and start with that. But let us know how this feels, and we'll see you around. Ciao.